Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Boothby Rice, Public Services Librarian at Washington College, a small liberal arts college on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. It is a rural setting, and we have a small student body. And I've been in academic libraries at this college for less than 6 months now. And prior to this, I was a public librarian dealing in adult services. And so while I am new to learning analytics specifically, what I've learned is that the privacy sort of knowledge I took from public libraries has been really applicable to what I'm doing here and what I've learned during this course, as well as other analytics that I've engaged in, including marketing analytics and data collection through anonymous platforms, but not too dissimilar from learning analytics. So in reflecting on my experience these past 6 weeks and positioning it within the broader context of my privacy education, I've chosen 3 areas that I feel created the largest impact on me, or has left me wanting to pursue further research in these areas, looking to learn more and continue my engagement and conversation around them. So the first was just taking the time to explore my institution's policies on privacy, its use of learning analytics, and orienting myself to what we're doing here versus what is happening elsewhere. So my own institution's use is limited to a couple of programs like Canvas, and it's pretty siloed. The administration does not seem to have much of an interest in serving students beyond some optional surveys and forums, which from a privacy standpoint is a good thing, but seeing, so I should say hearing from others and listening to a few colleagues on campus who would like to see learning analytics put to good use, I can see that maybe we're behind in some ways in enhancing our students' education and experience, that there's this opportunity here to engage in further growth and get into the beginnings of the use of learning analytics in a more dynamic way that would benefit all students, but incorporates privacy into the development. So reading about the frameworks, specifically Delicate, really struck me as a model that I can envision utilizing both in the further development of library analytics, because right now we also aren't collecting much data, and for the growth that we're looking to capture here, I think it will be beneficial to employ some library analytics. But beyond that, on campus, I've been able to talk to a few people who are really interested in using learning analytics, and so centering the library in that to make sure that we're engaging in privacy in doing so, and using a model like Delicate, I found incredibly beneficial to be able to easily explain and show how privacy can be incorporated without putting the learning goals at risk. Next area that really struck me, and I feel like I will take with me long after this, was finding out that there's a lack of discussion of privacy on my campus. So I know from my past experience that engaging in discussions on privacy can be difficult, getting people to care and engage in methods that would benefit their personal lives, and how we are using and collecting data on campus can be difficult. But data privacy is important, and it's a multifaceted part of our student lives. Yet, what I've learned is that beyond the statement on our website, it's really not discussed. And I have to admit that while I've only been here for a short time, so it could be discussions that have happened or they're happening elsewhere, and I just haven't been included in that conversation yet. But from what I've seen so far, and I haven't gotten a lot of discussion on feedback in general regarding privacy and how it's discussed on this campus, it's something that really needs to start here. And we need to start talking about not only privacy policies that we take part in, but also how data collection affects our students individually in their private lives through their use of their phones, other ways that their PII is being collected. So I'm hoping to set up some programs in the future that will address those areas. Lastly, I really enjoyed the discussions on the dehumanization of people as the necessity or desire to collect data turns us into like capitalistic data points. As we move rapidly forward with technology, the idea of techno-solutionism, or solving all of our problems with technology, I wrote here inadvertently, but maybe purposely removes the human from those solutions. We think that, we want to solve the problems, we want to find solutions. And sometimes when we can remove the emotions, the outliers, it makes it easier to feel like we've accomplished that. So whittling students down, and even faculty and staff, I've learned there's a lot of morale concerns with that population on campuses as well. It's counter to solving the problems we want. Can the data provide us with insightful and useful information? Absolutely. But I know from the very limited surveys I've done here among my student staff that information gathered can and should make informed decisions. My question is always like, who's the data leaving out? What biases are we subconsciously including that omits or even harms students when we use data to enact change without getting that quantitative, that those personal reactions to the problems and to perceived solutions. I wrote my notes from module 4 that those with societal setbacks are more studied and more surveilled. And so I interpret that as a need to make more human connections, not further categorize students to enhance their chance at academic success. So dehumanization and turning students into data points is something that's really going to stick with me as I hope to engage in learning analytics and privacy some more. So struggles, prioritizing time for this course. I had a number of events that came up during my course that took a lot of time away from my dedication to this. And so I'm very appreciative that I have been able to save the materials that were given to us and the source book. And so I really do plan on revisiting the source book periodically to see where my answers have changed. My knowledge has grown, and I can add new information into it as I become more familiarized with the campus. And it's also been, for me, insight into, managing time in an academic setting with my new responsibilities here. So it was really helpful to see what kind of balance I should be looking for in the future. But other than time, I would say that for me, the actionable sections of the source book took me much longer to fill out than maybe the ethics statement. I've engaged in privacy for a long time through my work with the Intellectual Freedom Panel. I'm also involved in the Library Freedom Institute. So my philosophy and my privacy ethics are fairly strong, but turning them into actionable items is where I struggled a bit. So for me, it was either because the information just isn't there, or translating that ethical commitment to privacy into a relatable statement was more difficult than I originally thought. And then I also just need to take some more time to look through the additional resources that were provided by this course and reflect further on what resonated with me in those readings so that I can add them to my resource list and make sure that I'm engaging with the material in a meaningful way. There are two areas of the source book that I identified that I'm going to revisit periodically, which are the environmental scan and the resources section. So as I mentioned, as I become more familiar with my institution, as I meet more people, and my institution is also going through a lot of change. So I imagine that will affect privacy and learning analytics. So those will need to be updated to reflect those changes. And the resources section is something I'm still working on fully finalizing. And so I know that as I learn more, as the field of learning analytics changes, there will be many opportunities to compile additional resources, resulting in the need to update that section. So, like I said, actionable items are a bit where I struggle, mostly because, I shouldn't say mostly because, but partially because of my newness to campus. And while I'm still navigating the structures of the institution and finding out who's responsible for that service, how those services interact or how they don't interact, what I've realized what I can do is start in the library. So the first things I'll be doing is reviewing our privacy policies and making recommended changes for them. We're not transparent about them. There's nothing on our website. So I need to investigate what protocol around departmental policies exist separate from the whole institution. And even if that remains an internal policy, that we have a guiding policy for library staff and that we are being as transparent about it as we can within our limitations. I do plan on holding some privacy programs in the spring semester for students to open up a dialogue about data collection, whether it's through learning analytics or in their personal lives. I hope that this program shows that the library is interested in engaging in this conversation, that we can be an informed party to engage with students, and hopefully other faculty and staff and administration would want to integrate privacy, whether into their courses or have conversations about how it affects our students and our campus. So in conclusion, this course helped to solidify my commitment to individual data privacy, but it also opened up my eyes to other ways that I hadn't really considered in the past that PII is being collected. It helped me to further understand the importance of transparency and inclusion when conducting research and collecting data. Regardless of how noble the effort is, we can say that we're doing this to make courses or places more accessible, to enhance the retention and student academic success. But if we are removing agency from students in that process, then I don't think the benefits are worth the cost, or we need to seriously look at the cost benefit analysis. I started this course with really no understanding of learning analytics. That's why I was interested in it. I saw the advertisement. I was like, learning analytics, what is that? So from that point, I've learned so much about the ways that they can benefit students, the care that they need to be implemented, and the dangers that they also can present if privacy-minded individuals are not responsible for them. It's led me to stop to consider how our students, who we sometimes assume are technologically advanced enough due to the age that they've grown up in, how they might be uninformed, and the responsibility that we should take on to make sure that they are informed users. So I hope to continue my engagement with this on campus and within the broader learning analytics and privacy community. I would also suggest anyone else who's interested in privacy look into the Library Freedom Institute for some of the work they're doing there, especially in programming and informing communities of privacy concerns. But I just wanted to wrap up by saying that I'm really appreciative of being included in this. And I thank you all for sharing and look forward to learning more. Thanks.